So, hi everybody, how are you doing today? So, my name is Fina Chichi. In case you have not met me before, I just wanted to share today how we can be more supportive of our teenagers going into 2023. We're wrapping the year up now, and we want to kind of reiterate and actually talk about what are some things, how can we be more supportive of our children in 2023? I'm going to share 5 ways. But I also want to share the reason why I want us to focus on how we can be more supportive. Last year, saying last year, we're still in 2022. So this year has been a year where I have had to handle or help or support a lot of teenagers going through a lot of mental health challenges, and it's even the stories and also the media, a lot of things that we've read about has really shown us. Even statistics from the NHS Digital was one of the ones that really blew me away on the need to be very extra supportive to our children and and our teenagers going forward. Mental health challenges has risen to, I can't even call the numbers are just, they sound so unreal. They sound so unreal. So here's the dilemma that we have, especially because after COVID, especially with what happened with COVID and post-COVID, there has been so many challenges with young people and teenagers just going through a lot of stuff. And what is needed more and more than ever is the supportive network for teenagers and their children and children in general. So how can we be more supportive to our children in 2023? I've got five ways. Number one is that we need to focus more on our relationship with our children over the rules that we have in our homes. Sometimes the rules that we have in our homes overshadows the relationship. It gets in the way of the relationship. And we're not saying don't have any rules in your home. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is let relationship, let building, let nurturing your relationship be priority, right? Let that be a priority first. And then the rules will follow. When we have a good relationship with our children, it's easier to set rules. It's easier for them to follow rules. They get it, they understand it because they've been part of it. But focus on the relationship so that they can hear you out, so that you can hear them out. Relationship over rules is the number one way to be more supportive of our children in 2023. The second one is be an active listener. A lot of times we talk about, oh, we listen, we hear them, we hear what they're saying, but are we actively listening to them? Are we actually, because if we are really actively listening to them, then we won't have cases where we're hearing over and over again, well, my mom doesn't listen or my dad doesn't listen. Or sometimes from parents saying that their children don't listen, because children as well, have they been taught, have they been modeled active listening? And this is the dilemma that we have. And a lot of times, yes, some teenagers may not listen to us. I think it's not out of spite or not out of just trying to be disrespectful. I think, do they have the skills to listen is the question to really ask. Do they have the skills? Are they being shown the skills of listening? And I think that's really the key going into 2023 is about us being intentional, active listeners. And active listeners means that we listen without interrupting. We listen to understand their point of view, what they're trying to tell us, rather than jump in to correct them, jump in to criticize, or jump in to lecture them. Is listening first to understand their perspective, understand where they're coming from. Yes, we may not agree with where they're coming from. We may not agree with what they're suggesting, but the onus is on us to listen at least, first of all. And that is one way that we can support them going forward into 2023. The third way I've got here is let's be open to negotiations with our teenagers. It's really important. A lot of times when we are the only ones giving out the rules, or saying what they need to do, when they need to do it, what time they need to do it, when it's only coming from us, then the conversation is more, it's not, it doesn't create a dialogue. It's only about us commanding, us, we're just talking at them. And so the more we talk at them, the more we set the rules, the more we do, when it's only us just doing and there's no room for negotiation, then there's no room for communication. There's no room for them to share what's really bothering them. And a lot of time that makes then the mental health challenges, that elevates it to higher rates and more intensity, because they haven't got a platform and an opportunity to share their deeper thoughts. Because when they've shared it in the past, maybe no one listened to them, no one validated their feelings, they were criticized, they were interrupted, so they just shut down and didn't bother anymore. But when you leave the door open to negotiation, it brings about communication, it brings about dialogue, and it brings about the opportunities for them to then share the challenges that they have. So a key to getting our teenagers to communicate with us more often is by being open to negotiations, being open, having that table of negotiations open, that dialogue open for all of us to communicate and speak. And so that when the time comes for the main conversations, the conversations to do with how they're feeling and what they think about, then it's open. The negotiation table is open, the communication is open, and we can talk more. Okay, so that's the third point. The fourth point is being respectful to our teenagers. Being respectful to our teenagers. And I've shared this before on the platform where I said a lot of times growing up, I know for me, growing up, all we heard was respect your elders, respect your parents, respect your elders. We never, ever heard respect your children. That was something we just never heard. But really, respect is a two-way street. We've got to respect our children, and our children would then respect us. We model what respect is to our children, and they give that back to us. A lot of time, because we were brought up not hearing the word respect our children, we didn't respect them, and we expected them to respect us. And so probably, for many parents, they saw the respect coming when their children were younger, but when the children became teenagers, that respect was just disappearing right in front of their eyes. And many parents were like, oh my God, what's happened? Oh, social media, oh, this, oh, that. But really, it's because respect is a two-way street. For respect to work, it's a two-way street. So going into 2023, let's be intentional about respecting our children. That's really key. And the fifth point I've got here is model whatever values you have. Model that to your children. You want your children to be kind, model kindness to them. If you want them to be respectful, as we just said in point number 4, then model respect to them. If you want them to be compassionate, model compassion to them and talk to them about these values that you're modeling to them so that they can relate, so that they can see the connection between what you're doing and the values that you are trying to instill in them. So those are 5 ways to be more supportive to your children and teenagers for 2023. Thank you so much. I trust that helps.